and there's so many different programs out here that we want to suggest for veterans to be housed. So with that, the support and the support family services that has really impacted the community. They have actually ingested $137 million into support services for homeless veterans. Okay, for homeless veterans. So with that, there are resources out here to be housed. But as you mentioned, many of those veterans, they're not necessarily homeless, right? They are homeless in the sense of not having a shelter, a total shelter, but they're also working poor. Right. Just like many of just regular everyday people.
All right. Welcome back to the Prepare to Compete podcast. Again, we're talking all things VA disability benefits, real estate, entrepreneurship, and more. Yes. And we want to get into a topic today that is very near and dear to us all, right? We're talking about housing. We're talking about assisting the veteran community. And, stabilizing that line item. And, sometimes individuals, aren't stable for a lot of different reasons, right? We're talking financially, people cannot secure adequate housing.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people don't understand that. So it gives a real misnomer about what homelessness really is, right? Because there's a lot of people who are kind of working and they're still actually falling under that classification of homelessness because they are, living with a girlfriend or, living with a parent or living with a friend and different things like that. They don't actually have their own lease of their property where they are stabilized themselves, right? Yeah. So if something happens with that other individual or if, whether financially with them, especially, but if they just fall out of favor with that person, right, they can be on the street just like that, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of individuals like that. And there's veterans, unfortunately, who are in that situation or even worse, right? So we want to talk to that community. We want to let you know that there's a lot of resources out here for you and to really get you guys proactively thinking about reaching out to those resources before you get down too far in that ditch where it's going to be harder to pull yourselves up.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. It's a very tough topic to talk about, you guys. So please forgive me, just due to the fact, again, I am a military veteran myself, and I personally know some homeless veterans, and even homeless active duty members, which again we never talk about. Essentially, when we talk about homeless, we're not talking about homeless in the sense that they can go back to the base, they can go to the ship, they can go wherever to lay their head. Yes, you can rest your head, but just because you're resting your head somewhere does not mean you're housed, you're home. Okay. So with that, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when we're talking about the homeless veterans, right? Again, and even the working poor, right? We talk about the working poor. No one actually uncovers that because the affordability in some states and counties are just absorbent, right? It's just some of these states and counties have the cost of living is through the roof, all right? And we never really unpack that. California has been a huge state that, again, cost of living did nothing but rise, right? We talk about New York. We talk about even Florida is getting to a point. Certain places such as Miami. Okay, there's so many different places. Washington D.C. There's so many different places where cost of living is so high that many are having a job, many are serving our country, many are being able to really try to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, but unfortunately still fall in the course of homelessness. Right. There's so many different services out here, but I want to go ahead and talk about some things and aspects of in regards to the veterans and veteran community, right? So currently they're stating, and when I mean the federal government, okay, HUD, the Department of Veterans Affairs is stating again, overall, currently there's about 33,000 veterans, or 34,000 veterans that are homeless on a single night. right? A single night. And I want to kind of unpack that phrase of a single night. All right. This was analyzed based on a January 2022, account or census, that if you were homeless, you were accounted for if you're under the VA. All right. So again, that's accounted for 34,000. That's almost, again, 33,732 people, but we'll round it up to 34,000. So with that being said, we kind of want to analyze that to understand that again, that amount of veterans who are currently homeless, but we aren't talking about the people that are not, right, are not utilizing the VA services, that are not reaching out for help, that are having mental ailments or physical ailments where they're just so embarrassed that they're just not going to seek help. Right. So with that, there's so many different aspects of homelessness on how you become homeless. Right. It's not just something happened to, again, that veteran or person to experience homelessness. A lot of times when transitioning out of service, there's a lot of different ailments that transpire, such as mental, physical, and so on and so forth, that unfortunately puts veterans in a compromising position where being able to earn a livable wage is not something that is capable. Okay, not saying that they aren't physically capable or they're not mentally capable, but something has transpired where they have not become capable in that aspect. So with that being said, the federal government has put in place the aspects of being able to be housed. All right, and there's so many different programs out here that we want to suggest for veterans to be housed. All right. So with that, there's the support and the support family services that has really impacted the community. They have actually ingested $137 million into support services for homeless veterans. Okay, for homeless veterans. So with that, there are resources out here to be housed. All right, but as you mentioned, many of those veterans, they're not necessarily homeless. Right, they are homeless in the sense of not having a shelter, a total shelter, but they're also working poor. Right. Just like many of just regular everyday people. But by being working poor, unfortunately, nationwide, it's gonna experience an explosion of homelessness as prices begin to continue to rise. So with that, we always want to make sure that the veterans are being able to unpack some of the support that can help their homelessness and also help their families.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to unpack that when you say working poor, and just, have people kind of reclassify their definitions of things, right? Because a lot of times we look at it at the government's definition of what poor is, right? In a sense, we think in our minds like, well, you're only poor if you qualify for government assistance, right? And that's extremely poor at that point if you are qualifying for government assistance, but you can that's extreme poverty level. So there's so many different levels to this here, because as we know, you could be making even what can be considered a livable wage, but just have so many different expenses and over budgeted yourself with car payments and your housing expense, and you have some medical bills and different things like that, and so many things come at you at once, and now you start falling behind, and now you really start going into that poverty state. So we don't want you to really, I want everyone to kind of be real sensitive to what that is, and just understanding that there's several different levels of poverty, right? And unfortunately, a lot of us fall on some scale of it, because when you think about what you really need to get by. Like if you're an individual household, even here in Las Vegas where I'm at, if you're making less than $120,000 a year, you actually might fall somewhere on that scale, depending on how you budget your money, what your living expenses are, different things of that nature. And that's even being proven by the government, because right now for state employees in Nevada, the new governor has an initiative to actually raise the wages for government employees in the state 12%, especially those that make less than $120,000 a year are receiving a special stipend, right? Because they're feeling the effects of post-COVID. They're feeling the effects of gas prices and inflation in a lot of different areas. So, I don't want you guys to be bashful and think like, well, hey, I make six figures and different things like that. I'm not poor, different things like that. You can still be working poor and still make, a very decent wage that will be considered that, because sometimes we overextend ourselves and we just need help, because you are making that maybe before things got inflated, and now your grocery bill had just went up, $500 to $800 a month. Your rent is rising and different things like that. It ate a lot of those disposable incomes. And if you were someone that wasn't budgeting your money really well and living check to check on that amount of money beforehand, you're really feeling those effects now.
Yes. And those effects, and again, and if you're blessed to be able to make that type of income, because such little do, right? When we're talking about six figures and different things of that nature, if you're blessed to be able to, be around that income, it puts you in a different bracket where you can still support yourself, but most people are not managing their debt to income ratios, right? So a lot of times you're again over leveraged, over debt, and buying things that you may or may not need, right? But we're not going to, again, we're not into unpacking that or providing judgment in that. What we're mainly stating is, many people are not even in the position to even worry about that because they're homeless. Okay. Currently, right now, they're saying again about 586,000 people in the United States are in total homelessness. Okay. And that's that is a specific statistic from HUD. Do I believe there are more? Yes, because again, obviously, as we know, we can kind of push statistics either which way. So when we're talking about homelessness, we're talking about homelessness at scale. Okay, across the nation. And just because you have not been counted by the Census Bureau or some type of other interagency does not mean that you are not working poor and you're not homeless. Okay, I personally know many active duty members and other guys, and not only active duty members, but veterans who are outside of service that struggle with permanent housing, struggle with couch surfing, struggle with divorce, right? As we know, the military community divorce rate is so much more higher than just the regular average divorce rate, right? So a lot of times that hurts a lot of veterans. So with that, again, there's so many support services out here that we want to be able to assist you and provide the information. But a lot of times we also want to also understand why this is happening. So a lot of much of it is mental illness. Mental illness. I know it is kind of a taboo or something that we don't want to uncover or talk about so in depthly. But this is something that is very prominent. Okay, definitely within the veteran community, regardless of how the military has changed most, but it has changed many. Okay, a lot of these scars aren't even something that's seen or aware until it's too late. All right, until it's too late. And what I mean by too late, not too late for help, but too late in the regards that you're in, the circumstances you're in. All right. So if we can get ahead of it and be able to get to the support service that you can obtain, such as the medical care, such as mental health care, such as utilizing services such as VASH, right? These are programs that will actually assist you through your medical needs and also healthcare needs as well. Healthcare needs, but medical needs and healthcare needs, but also housing needs as well. Okay, so with that, we want to be able to make sure that the veterans understand that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, VASH sounds like a great program, and that program is definitely designed for veteran housing. Especially if you've had a significant loss of income or you're making no income, right? Mm-hmm. You can qualify for a housing voucher via VASH. So
yes.
A lot of our civilian community is similar with like the Section 8 housing program. VASH is pretty much the same program, but exclusively for veterans. Okay.
Yes.
So you're able to get a voucher for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom property, just depending on how many people are in your family, right? So you'll be able to secure a voucher. It's based on the area that you live in and the average housing for the particular amount of bedrooms. And they actually have certain landlords, right, that service, VASH vouchers as well as the Section 8 vouchers. Usually the landlord would take either. Okay, so it's definitely very good to kind of help supplement yourself with that and really take advantage of that earned benefit that you have. If you're a veteran living on the street, you don't have to. There's some resources that can be secured for you. Sometimes when you're going for to utilize these services, there's going to be some different steps and barriers to access these services, right? We're going to have to do some things with maybe you don't have an ID, and then you don't have ID because you don't have your birth certificate, right? There's programs to even help you secure those documents so that you can do that and step by step get yourself into that VASH program to secure your housing. So literally, no matter where you're at on that scale, they're able to have resources afforded to you. So you need to really go in and talk to the individuals there so that you can really help get yourself situated.
Most definitely. And then when you actually go in to attain those vouchers, they're gonna ask a few different questions that they're gonna need. With that, I want all veterans to understand most of it is just to obtain the proper information to be able to place you in the proper place. All right. You're gonna have a case management specialist. Case management specialist is gonna kind of navigate that for you. You're gonna they're gonna unpack some of your ailments. Again, see why you're in that position. Check if you qualify, and then at that point you can be housed. Okay. We don't want to see any veterans on the street. Relatively long, anyone. Okay. However, for the specific veteran community, there's also other resources out here outside of VASH, which again, we're going to go ahead and have specialized videos on each benefit that's afforded to you. But this in general, we wanted to talk about, unfortunately, the community at large. All right. So, but these, again, we're going to have other information that's going to drive benefits for the veteran community on a specific benefit, whether if it's VASH, whether if it's a support family service, other programs that provide you, furnishings, home furnishings, medical services, education benefits, and so on. So these are all going to be identified, but this is just the overarching topic that we wanted to talk about. So there are going to be more videos alike.
Absolutely. Great stuff there, Kenneth. Great stuff. So yeah, our contact information is here below. If you have questions and you kind of have a need currently in regards to this, or if you know a veteran that needs help, definitely reach out to us. We'll love to connect you with resources in your area, as well as if you're interested in learning more about actually applying for increasing your service connected disability benefits, we're able to help educate you on that as well, to really just get you guys all the information that you deserve, all the education that you deserve to get you into the right situations for yourself and your family. We're here for you. There's a lot of services here for you. Do not feel like you have to go at it alone. Please try not to get discouraged. Sometimes when you're working with some of the offices, you have to understand sometimes that those individuals are human themselves. They may be having a bad day when they spoke to you, and they're dealing with a lot of clients, and they're kind of trying to push you through the funnel sometimes. So please try to be patient. Do not get discouraged. Do not let that discourage you. Please reach out to us and as many organizations as you can for support so that you can really navigate yourself through that pipeline and system.
Most definitely, most definitely. Listen, you're not alone. We're wanting to assist. We want to support you. Please contact us if you are in need of support. Please contact, again, the service line if you're in need of support, which is going to be below as well. So at the end of the day, we're here to guide you, provide information for you and your family. And at the end of the day, we're here to support you.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Continue to support us as we support you. Have a good 4th of July. We're out. Peace.